Today we're going to look at identifying fixed and variable expenses. All right, so we have a few vocabulary words. We've got the family budget. A budget is money, is like your limit. A family's planned for their spending. So this is like, okay, this is all we can spend for this month. Personal budget, well, that would be for your individual self, giving yourself a budget saying, this is how much I have, this is how much I can spend. An income is money you receive. So the income is money that comes in to you. Expenses would be the money that you have to pay for things that costs. So that goes out. You have fixed expenses, a cost that is the same each month, and variable expenses, a cost that changes based on the amount of usage. So we're focusing on fixed and variable expenses. Well, think fixed. Fixed is the same. It's no matter what, it's always going to be the same amount every single time. A variable, just like a variable letter in math, is something that is always changing. So variable expenses could be something, for example, your electric bill. Depending on how much electricity you use each month, it's not always going to be the same. Something that would be fixed would be, for example, your mortgage payment or your car loan. Now you can see I did highlight a couple parts, so this is our focus. The fixed expenses, that's the same amount, and then you have variable expenses, that's a cost that changes. So as we go through the examples, the first one we have the Shelton family monthly budget. As I go through each of the items, you tell yourself if it's a fixed or a variable to kind of quiz yourself along the way. And when I write it down, you can see if you were correct or not. So the first one, a car loan for $450. Well, a car loan you pay back each month, and that is going to be the same amount each month. So that would be an F for a fixed. Then we go on to miscellaneous, and miscellaneous could be who knows what. So that, if you just think about it, that could be random things. That is going to be a variable, because some months you might do a bunch of random things, other months you might not do that much stuff. Think about it like right now, we're not doing very much because we're stuck inside. Taxes, well, taxes you're going to pay the same amount each time, so that would give you an F or fixed expense. Housing, well, that would be like your rent, and your rent is the same each month, so that would be a fixed. Food, well, we don't always eat the same amount of food each time, so that one would need to be variable. And savings, well, when we have a budget for our savings, we usually put away the same amount each time, so that one would be a fixed. Okay, so moving along to the next one for Anna's personal monthly budget. So let's look at Anna's. Okay, so again, I'm going to put an F and a V. An F would be fixed. It's going to be the same amount each time. And the V will be a payment that varies, that changes. So let's start with housing. Housing is, again, your rent or maybe your mortgage payment, and that's going to be the same each month. So that would be F. Food. Food is variable because we eat a different amount of food each time. Clothing, well, you're not going to necessarily spend the same amount of money on clothing each month. So that one, since it's not the same each time, that's going to be a variable. Entertainment would be things that you go out and do. So again, the same as the Shelton family, their miscellaneous would be their random things that they go out and do. It's not always going to be the same, so since it's going to change, that would be a variable expense. Gas for transportation, well, usually in a month, we don't always go to the same place. So that means the amount of gas we would use each month is going to be different. So therefore, that's going to be a variable expense. College savings, well, anything that has to do with your savings, that's always going to be the same each time. So that's going to be a fixed amount. Utilities, well, your utilities like the electric, your water, that you don't use the same amount each time. So that means your utility bill could be high, it could be low, depending on how much you use. So since that changes, that's going to be a variable expense. Emergency savings, again, it's another savings item, so any of the savings is always going to be the same, so that will be a fixed expense. And taxes, that's something we need to pay the same each time, so that's going to be fixed. Hopefully you got most of those or all of them correct as we went through them. Good luck on the assignment and do your best. Send me an email or come to tutoring if you have any questions.